Whoa, it's a superhero! Nah, it's really a villain. Being evil is more fun, right guys? That's how it works? Yeah? Or at least that's what the thought process of these heroes on this list probably was. Maybe. That's like a hard maybe. There's actually no evidence that they thought that. But regardless, now that they're evil, let's count them down in part 3 of our list. In at number 10 is Wolverine. Back in the 2004-2005 story arc Enemy of the State, Wolverine is brainwashed by Hydra and the Hand, and he eventually breaks free and then goes after them, returned to his good guy state. But in 2007, as part of the What If line, the Enemy of the State plot made a return, and Wolverine stayed evil, with Kitty Pryde having to murder him by phasing her arm through his brain. As silly as that sounds, it was actually quite sad. And at number 9 is Thor. This evil version of Thor appears in Thor: The Reigning, where he gets all fascist on us, which is seemingly a trend on this list. He's taken over Asgard and decides to physically move it above New York City, which doesn't fly very well, and the Consortium of Nations launches an assault against Asgard, which also doesn't really go well, and kills a ton of people, humans and Asgardians alike. Then Thor rebuilds Asgard, merges it with NYC, and rebels start rising up against him. But it takes a century for anything to really happen, and at that point Thor has taken over the world, turning it into an ideal utopia that, well, isn't really that ideal after all, because people are really into drugs, like really into drugs. And at 8 is Hobgoblin. While there's been a few versions of the Hobgoblin over the years, this one is actually kind of sad. So once upon a time, a dude by the name of Phil Urich used the Green Goblin identity to operate as a hero. He takes on Daniel Kingsley's Hobgoblin and ends up killing him in self-defense, but then ends up taking on the Hobgoblin mantle himself, turning to the side of evil, working for Kingpin. He ends up having his identity exposed by Superior Spider-Man, and then when he's broken out of the prison transport by Green Goblin, he eventually becomes the new Goblin King, replacing Green Goblin. Fun stuff. And at number 7 is Mary Marvel. Mary Marvel is a member of the Marvel family, the DC Marvel family of superheroes, the group of superheroes all created around Captain Marvel, aka Shazam. Yes, it's confusing, but the characters were created before Timely Comics became Marvel, so it wasn't made intentionally confusing. Yeah. Anyway, Mary has always been pretty damn virtuous, but in 2006 she got sinister, provoked by the loss of her powers and falling into a coma, which, I mean, yeah, I kinda get why that would put you in a bad mood. She got her powers back from Black Adam, who was Shazam's main antagonist, which just kinda made her an asshole and allowed for her to be manipulated by some of the other villains in DC's Rogue Gallery. And at 6 is Kid Marvelman. What's with all these Marvel characters going evil? Marvel as in the hero, not the you guys know what I mean by now. I mean, I kinda get it considering their history, but like still. So Marvelman is actually not technically part of the Marvel family, but he's basically the British equivalent of Shazam, and his sidekick was Kid Marvelman. After a nuclear bomb attack, Kid Marvelman assumed he was the only person who survived, and decided to forever stay in his adult form, which eventually makes him go psychotic. So when he realizes that others were alive, he goes on a rampage and kills a ton of people in London, and then Marvelman has to kill him. Dark. And number 5 is Batman, but more specifically AZRAEL Batman. After Bruce Wayne's Batman had his back broken by Bane, Bruce has to spend some time recovering. But crime doesn't take a vacay, friends. During the Nightfall story arc in 1993, Bruce needed a successor to look after Gotham while he took some time off. Instead of going with Dick Grayson, cause you know that'd be too easy, he opts for Jean-Paul Valley, who becomes AZRAEL, who was more focused on punishing the guilty rather than protecting the innocent. And then he goes rogue and Batman has to take him out once he's recovered. And at number 4 is the Hulk. Bruce Banner of Earth 9200 is an alternate version of the Hulk that goes evil, and adopts the name Maestro. So 100 years in the future, the Hulk survives a nuclear war that killed off a ton of the planet's inhabitants. So Hulk decides to use his superior intellect and those Hulk powers of his, and takes over the remains, which is now called Dystopia. He runs a strict regime, so much so that rebels start plotting against him, and bring Professor Hulk from the past to fight him. In at number 3 we have Angel. Venturing a bit out of comics for this one, let's take a look at Angel from Buffy the Vampire Slayer. So when you're a vampire in the Buffyverse, you don't have a soul, but Angel is the first exception to this rule that we see on the screen. He managed to regain his soul, and when we're introduced to him, he's working on the side of good. Him and Buffy get into a relationship, and due to the curse a gypsy set on him, that gave him his soul back in the first place, if Angel ever experiences one pure and true happy moment, the curse will be broken. So when he and Buffy have sex for the first time, the curse is broken, and he loses his soul, and then becomes his evil self and jealous, and well, things get really bad. 2 words: Miss Calendar. Damn it, Angel, why do you just gotta break our hearts like that? And at number 2 is Sinestro. He's the OG hero gone evil story. Dude was Hal Jordan's mentor and a Green Lantern. He was corrupted by power and started getting all fascist on his home planet. The Guardians were like, you can't really do that. So they stripped him of his ring and exiled him to the antimatter universe. But then he started rubbing shoulders with the people of Quard, and ended up getting a yellow ring to help him get his revenge. And finally at number 1 is Injustice. Like the whole damn comic and or game. We brought up Superman in our last list, and since it would be unfair to list each of these characters individually with their own numbers, Injustice is getting its own spot. We're looking at you, Wonder Woman, Green Lantern, Aquaman, and the Flash. Y'all are even worse than Superman almost. You slipped right into the herd mentality when Superman was tarnished by his grief and decided to go hardcore fascist on Earth's inhabitants. Although I will say, one of my favorite fights in the game though was against Equal Aquaman, who sometimes kinda looks like he has facial hair, cause I guess facial hair is evil, I don't know. There we have it, friends. Any heroes that turned dark that we missed out on any of our lists so far? Give us a shout below and let us know, and don't forget to hit those like and subscribe buttons if you dug this video and you want to see more. For now, I'm Kelly Pally, and you guys have been watching Top 10 Nerd. I'll catch you in the next one.